Melanie from Melanie's Muses here, where I muse about things in the entertainment world that are entertaining to me, and sometimes weird and other random videos too, just depending on my mood. Today I'm here with author Tamara Grantham, who has kindly joined me for one of my author Zoom chats.
Hello. Hi. I'm really excited to be here.
I'm very excited too.
Yes.
Turn sideways so we can see your little elf ears. Your elf ears are so cute.
I know they're hard to see.
They're hard to see on the video, but I got to see them before, and they're so adorable.
Yeah, I like to wear them like to the Ren fairs and Comic-Cons when I go do those things. But I think with my white background,
they're fading in a little bit, but they're so cool. I wanted to show them. People get to see them. My costumes are.
I'm like an invisible elf or something. So
in disguise.
Right.
In disguise. So for Muses that are new and maybe haven't met Tamara before and don't know her as well as some of the other authors that we've had on, Tamara, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your books. Your fabulous books.
Sure. Well, let's see. The first series that I published was back in 2015, and the first book was called Dream Thief.
Yes.
That's a 7-book series. Well, really 6-book series with one novella. And the series is called Fairy World MD. So my main character is half elf. As you can see, I'm representing the elves here. It's really kind of a mix between urban fantasy and high fantasy, I think. But I think if you read either of those genres, you might like Fairy World MD.
I think it's a little more accessible than when people say high fantasy. I think a lot of the times they think sort of Game of Thrones and that kind of thing. This is definitely a very, very accessible series, I feel. I mean, it is urban fantasy and it does have mythology type fantasy in there.
Yes.
But I feel that it's very accessible for even non-fantasy readers. I think that's one of the great things about it. That world is so immersive, and who doesn't want to think that maybe some of the dreams and things they had are actually actual experiences? There's not really a spoiler, but a little clue. And Dream Thief, I think, is free right now, correct?
It is free
right now, so I will put the link to that in the description for the video.
Yeah. And let's see, I wrote that one because I watched Inception, and it made me start thinking, what if kids had nightmares that people could abduct kids through their nightmares, which sounds really scary and really, but it's not. That's where I came up with the idea for the Dream Thief. So the idea was that somebody could come in and steal children's dreams, and the children will be in this other alternate realm. You know, their dream selves are in this alternate realm. So my main character is Olive Kennedy. She's really a down-to-earth kind of girl. And she's from Texas, which is where I'm also from Texas. I'm living in Kansas now, but
originally from Texas.
Yes, and now I'm a transplanted Texan. And so I came up with this character. You know, where I came up with this character, I was in the library one day meeting with a writers group. And I saw this girl walking through the library. She had this punky red hair, kind of like a pixie cut. And she was like, kind of had this like slight frame that looked almost elfish or something. And she's walking through the library and she meets up with these kind of bigger guys. And it just gave me this idea, like, what if there really was like a half elf or something, like just walking around, you know.
And I think that's one of the fun things about that series is, although you do have the more mythical realms and everything in there, you also do have a whole bunch that is set like here in our Earth. And there's even a Ren Fair. You said about the Ren Fair. There's even a big thing that happens at a Ren Fair. That's probably my favorite book in the...
Oh, really? Yeah.
I don't know.
I was thinking about that one the other day and how I'd kind of like to go back and reread that one. That's the 3rd book, Bloodthorn. Yeah, and I love Ren fairs. I went to my first Ren fair when I was 14, and I fell in love with just the whole idea. It was like transporting me back in time. And so I really wanted to include a Ren fair somewhere in that series. And so I did it in book 3.
And I think, I mean, for me, I love all of that stuff, and that made it very, very relatable. I think Olive Kennedy in general, the whole idea that you can switch around between these two worlds and whatever, was great. But for me, the one with the Ren Fair, that's just a personal. So there you go. You guys have to read at least 3 of the books because you have to finish book 3, which is my favorite. Not that the rest of the series aren't good, right? But you always have You have a favorite. Anybody who says they don't have favorites, they're lying.
Right. Yes. Well, I'm really glad you like that one.
I do.
Yeah. Yeah. That was one of my favorites to write.
You have a whole new series coming up.
Yes, I do.
What's going on?
So this one was a really fun idea. It's called Harley Sinclair is the name of my main character. And it's spelled Harleigh. And I really wanted to write a book about a girl with a sword. I mean, that's just kind of how it started. I was just like, I want to have, just a girl with a sword, and not any sword. Like, it really needs to be a cool sword. And it needs to be like a special sword. So the idea came from, I want this girl to go on a quest to find a sword, but it's modern day. And so she became kind of like an Indiana Jones type character.
Yes, she is. So I wanted to say, is that going to be a really busy? But she is. She reminded me of Indiana Jones. And a lot of you guys know I submission read for Clean Tea and Crimson Tree Publishing, and I got to submission read this. This is one of the few books that I was literally walking around. I was cooking dinner and I had the book. Greg's like, "What are you reading? Like, it's so good. I need to see what happens." And it's one of the few books that I was walking around with it like.
That's really good. That's very flattering. Thank you.
That's just how it was. I messaged the girls, right? We need this book.
Yes.
Now. So that's coming this year. But book one's coming out later this year?
It is. It's coming out this fall. I think
I want to say October. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's October. And so I loved Indiana Jones, but I really thought it would be cool to have like a female type Indiana Jones. But she has kind of, I didn't call them magical abilities, but I just called them like, they're just kind of superhuman almost abilities.
It's like enhanced abilities. It's just like, and it's so close to, it's not really superhuman. I think that's one of the great things, because you almost feel like it could be you. You can really sort of like, it's not so far, because a lot of the times you get these heroes and they have these, I mean, they're great, but they have all these superpowers, and as much as I would love to get superpowers, I'm probably not getting those anytime soon.
Right.
But with this, you're there.
Yes.
You're there
and so my idea was that a certain percentage of the population has like advanced, I kind of thought of it as like an advanced brain power. So for her power, she can touch anything. And if somebody else has touched the same object, she can see where they've been or where the object has been. And so that really helps her out trying to find any lost object, which also makes her a prime target for kind of some, seedier individuals who can kind of use her ability for themselves. Right. So she gets this job working for this guy named Grayson. And she is in the first book, she goes to try to find an Egyptian Ankh. So which is kind of funny, because
was that fun to research? Did you know in the beginning you were going to go down that route, or did you play around with other possibilities first?
Yes, I love Egyptian mythology. So I wanted to do Egypt first, because that's kind of my first love, love of mythology. I started out when I was like, I don't know, I think it was probably 11 or 12. I read this book on Egyptian mythology and I fell in love with it. So I wanted to do Egyptian mythology, and I wanted that to be in the first book. So in the first book, she goes on this quest and eventually ends up in Egypt looking for this magical lost Ankh. So in each book, I want to include a different mythology. And
that's a lot of research then.
Yes, it is. And I kind of wanted to include some different mythologies that you don't hear about all the time. So I wanted to do like some Native American, Alaskan mythology in the second book. And then, of course, I wanted to include like Scottish and Irish mythology with the sword, because the sword is rumored to be Excalibur.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like going to be a running theme throughout the books, is her trying to find Excalibur
So will you touch on Arthurian mythology, or do you? Oh, now that's one of my favorites. Hence, channeling the little. I did have my hood up to make it kind of like Morgana-ish, but it doesn't want to stay. It's like, I'm channeling my inner Morgana today.
Yes. Yeah. And I definitely, I love Arthurian mythology too. That's probably a very, very close second to Egyptian, maybe even sometimes a first love of mythology. So that's why I'm going to include the Arthurian mythology through each of the books. Nice. And then my plan is in the last book, it will be devoted all to Arthurian mythology, because she's really like on the trail of the sword and she's getting close to finding the sword.
And there's going to be five books for this series. Did I remember that right? Yes. I know when you sent over the thing with like the plan, I was like, give me.
Yes.
So other than that, do you have other series? I know that Dream Thief is done. And I know you're doing that one with Crimson Tree. Anything else you got coming out this year? What's going on?
Yes. Well, I have my Twisted Ever After, which are 3, it's a trilogy of fairy tale retellings, which The Witch's Tower is the Rapunzel retelling.
And that one's free right now, I think.
That one is free. And that's from the witch's point of view. So I tried to make the witch be kind of the heroine of the story. And Rapunzel is kind of trapped in the tower with this long hair that's like keeping her bedridden, and she's kind of going crazy. Well, she is going crazy in the tower. And so the witch is actually the one in the book trying to save Rapunzel. And so for those books, I did Rapunzel for the first book, and then I did the Swan Princess retelling in the second one, and then the third one is Rumpelstiltskin. So so that's my fairy tale retellings, because I love fairy tales too.
I like to call them reimaginings, because you really do come at them from a different perspective rather than retelling. It's not like you're getting it from it's really the story reimagined, because although you can recognize the basic impact, like the basic facts of the story, you really have reimagined how it would all happen in a new way. So I'm going to stick with fairy tale reimagined, because I think that's what it is.
That. Yes, I love that term. That's
how I interpret them. That's and I like to shove my views on everybody, because
I'm going to steal that from you. Then I'm going to start calling them imaginings, because that sounds so much cooler.
It does, don't you think? Because otherwise, like, I don't want to read that. It's like a retelling. I actually came up with it when Susan did her Romeo and Juliet, because it was so different. It wasn't anything like it. I was like, I need a better word, and it was reimagining. Then you had your Twisted Fairy Tales, and actually when I share them on Clean Teen, I put it up with fairy tales reimagined, because I think they're reimagined. I don't think they're being retold. They're new stories, and I want people to see the new stories. I'll put the link to book 1 in for that in the comments too, because that is free. That's 2 free books for you guys so far. We're doing pretty well.
Yes.
So what else we got going on?
So I'm actually working on a lot of books right now.
I see on your author page. I'm like, okay, do you want to? I don't know how many. You are welcome to mention all of them. I mean, this is Melanie's Muses. You can mention any books at all.
Oh my goodness. All right. Yeah, it's a little bit overwhelming, but it's the good kind of overwhelming, because I love to write. So it's a good problem for me to have. But I wrote this book called The Seventh Lie, which is a sci-fi book. And it deals with this. Now, this is for real. Like there's an island in the North Pole, near the North Pole, north of Russia. It's called Champ Island. It's not very big, but it's full of these round boulders, like perfectly round spheres. And scientists don't know like who made those, because it's very, very cold. There's not really any way a civilization could have been there and made those. And it's really rare to find perfectly round stones in nature. And so, of course, that got my geeky sci-fi brain working.
Yeah, so it's a bit like a Stonehenge mystery type thing, but up in the. I mean, but there's no people there. At least in Stonehenge, people can be there, and you can say, you can blame the Druids. So, do you think they were aliens? Is that the theory that we're going with? Do you think they were aliens? Is that the theory that you're using?
That was my misdirection. That was my misdirection. Like I wanted people, when I started writing the book, I wanted people to think aliens.
I did immediately when you were saying it. I was like, oh, is it aliens?
Right.
Not aliens.
And so that was my misdirection. Like, so the book starts out with this this woman named Sabine Harper, and she is hired by this corporation called Vortec, which is just a made up corporation. They want her to go up there and explore, try to find out, what's happening with these boulders. And so kind of like in my Fairy World MD series, how they kind of go from one reality to another, that's the same that happens in this new series, The Seventh
So is
Lie.
this out? Is there any?
No, it's not out yet. It's coming out this spring.
Coming soon.
Yes.
Coming soon. And Melanie's Muses will be getting a review copy, right? So that I can read it.
Absolutely. Yes.
I'm not above going after the free books review.
Yeah.
Not sorry either.
Yeah.
No.
So I've got that one. And then I've got a book called Never Call Me Vampire, which came out in November. And so right now I'm writing the sequel for that one. I kind of wanted to have a vampire in a different setting than what you usually see vampires in. So the idea behind that one was, if there really were vampires, like, would they really be living in secret and in shadow, or would they be in some kind of facility, like getting blood transfusions and things like that? And I'm a big fan of those old abandoned YouTube videos where these YouTubers will go into like the old abandoned or old abandoned mansions or insane asylums.
Yeah. We watched them. We watched them. We watched them too. Anything to do with anything like that, we watch all of those. And
they're so fun. And so in this book, I've set it in an old insane asylum. So
Greg absolutely loves that stuff. Anything that's got like weird abandoned buildings and like the history behind the pyramids with these weird obscure YouTube things where they go down and try and prove that. Like Greg's about all of that, all of those kind of things. So
yeah, I think it's really fun. I love watching those. So
so what you've got, that one's out. So you've got the sequel to Never Call Me Vampire is coming out. You're working on that one. You have your new sci-fi series coming out, and then Harley Sinclair coming out in the book. You're gonna be busy, bunny.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm not done.
Oh my goodness.
No, I've got a middle grade also coming out in the fall.
Wow. And what's that about?
It's called The Not So Chosen One. And so I've got 5 kids ages 6 to almost 16. And I've got 4 boys and 1 girl. And I really wanted, like, my boys were complaining about not having anything to read. They would say they'd go to the library and there's a lot of books for girls, but not a whole ton of books for boys. So I really wanted to write something that would be fun. Well, not just for boys and for girls, but something that, my boys could read.
Yeah.
So I got this idea of making kind of this magical world that's a fantasy world, but they've gotten technology. And so the idea, it's a spoof on the whole hero's journey.
Okay.
So the idea is that the hero defeated the Dark Lord 500 years ago, and the Dark Lord is going to wake up again. But he got smart this time. So when he wakes up, he goes and he kills all the potential chosen ones, which are like the farm boy orphans who, are going to be visited by a wizard to tell them to go on the journey to kill the Dark Lord. So he gets smart this time, and he does away with all of those.
I often wonder why these villains, especially ones that go away for all this time, do not get smart. They just wait for it's like, if I was a villain, I would do exactly that. That is exactly what I would do. Kudos for that. I'm all about
especially if you've been defeated by these farm boys, magical sword.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice.
Exactly. So that's the premise behind this book. And my main character is named Gordy Simpleton, and he really wants to be the hero. He really wants to go on the quest. And so he kind of makes up his own quest.
Hey?
Yeah. And he goes, there's no dragons roaming around the land anymore. They're all in zoos and they're lazy. And he has to go to the zoo and try to get a dragon. And he finally tempts one out, with the promise of cheeseburgers.
I was going to say Cheetos. I was close. Right track.
Yeah.
I don't know why dragon would want Cheetos, but
right.
Cheetos are the brain.
And then he finally gets a magical sword, and it's a magical talking sword, but it's really mouthy and really sarcastic and really annoying.
Which would be exactly what happened if I got a talking sword. I tell you, it would be mouthy and like our Alexa in the house is always rude to me. She's very rude.
Oh, yes, I know.
Because she's Greg's and she doesn't like me.
Oh, goodness.
There you go.
Well, yeah.
So funny. That's a lot of books. But I also have a lot of questions. Muses had the opportunity to write in and give us some questions. So are you going to answer as many of those as we can get through? There's quite a lot.
Yeah, let me get a drink of water.
Okay, go ahead. I know. So I'm going to start with May Rose's question because I think this is a great lead in. It says 5% of your books are going to AFPS. How did this come about and what drew you to this foundation? Yeah. So it's also a great time to tell people that this is going on. Because we didn't.
Exactly. Okay. So I started doing this when my first book came out, when Dream Thief came out. I decided I wanted to donate 5% of my book earnings to support mental health. And that kind of tapered off and I wasn't doing it so much. But then when the pandemic hit and a lot of people started struggling with mental health, and I was seeing all these posts about people just struggling. And I don't know, I feel like when you're at home during the pandemic and you're just on social media and you see people like calling for help and you just feel helpless. You're like, oh, what do I do? Like, I know I want to help, but I don't know what to do. And mental health is something that's really close to my heart because it's in my family and it's something that I've had to deal with in my life too. And thankfully I've been able to find medication and get help for that. But I know there's a lot of people out there struggling. So that's why I wanted to give 5% of my book sales. I'm giving it to the American Foundation for the Prevention of Suicide, which is
that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's really awesome. And thank you for opening up and sharing that with us. Yeah. I mean, I know I can tell you right now, my muses will really resonate with that. I know we have a lot of people that come to us, and one of the things we did during the pandemic is we kept going we were live every Sunday, and people said that was their like meeting for the week. They'd come and chat with us, and when people were messaging me telling I was quite overwhelmed. I didn't really know what to do with that. I was just like, we're doing this sort of for fun, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, I'm really glad that I'm helping you, but it's quite overwhelming because it's like, okay, it's a response. It is difficult, but that's amazing. That is so generous and amazing, and I love that.
And it's not just about the money for me. I think what helps me the most, and probably what helps other people too, is just to know that you're not alone struggling with mental health. And I think that's one thing that really negatively impacted me when I was struggling, was to think that I was the only person in the world feeling like this, and feeling isolated is so detrimental to mental health. So, and I can see why connecting with people, even online, is really helpful. So thank you for recognizing that also.
No, I mean, my muses are great. My muses, I'm going to give them a shout. I give them a shout all the time. My muses are probably the best. My fan base is small. My fan base is mighty. I have never known such an awesome group of people. They send each other things. They send each other support. They help them out. They connect them with people. I mean, 100%. I can't say enough. And I'll tell you what, if you can get a muser as a fan, you have a fan for life. They are dedicated fans. I love them. They are brilliant.
That's really
May Rose had a lot of questions. And actually, you just asked it. So what are your thoughts about the mental state with people during the pandemic? So we just kind of covered that. And there is a much higher risk of suicide because people are isolated, and sadly there is still such a stigma with mental health because you can't see it. It's not like you break your arm, you go to the doctor, you get a cast, that's acceptable, but you go to the doctors and talk about being depressed or whatever, and then you're sort of getting and that's something that needs to change. I feel that I think it's getting better, but I still think there's a long way to go. And authors like yourself, like coming out and speaking and donating profit and just making people awareness. I think a lot of it is awareness that it is okay to not be okay.
Right. Exactly.
I'm definitely not okay. There's loads of people that say I'm not okay, but I mean, I have days when I'm not okay, and I'm very, very blessed. I have an amazing support system, but not everybody has that.
Right.
So, May Rose also was. I'm going to go through May Rose's questions now because she's got them all here today. She's got. Do you have any characters that go through any kind of heavy content such as this, or do you keep that separate?
So right now, the book that I'm writing, it's a sequel to the vampire book. It's probably the heaviest book I've ever written, because my main character gets captured and taken to this like really weird facility where she's like given injections and so that one is pretty dark and it's kind of heavy. But I guess when I'm writing it, I feel like it's almost freeing to read about somebody else having those problems. Because you can kind of imagine yourself going through that and imagine how you would get out of that situation, like how you would escape from it. And so I think it transports you away from your own problems for a little bit. And it's easier to deal with the problems of a book character than having to deal with your own problems in your own life.
Yeah, it's a bit of escapism, safe escapism. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm going to come back to some of Mary Rose's other questions, but somebody asked, I've got to find who asked it. They wanted to know if you were a plotter or a pantster, and I love that question. And I can't find. Marcy Robinson wants to know: are you a planner or a pantster? My husband had never heard the word pantster until another book interview that I did. He's like, "What is that?" I was like, "I love that term." So plotter or pantster? With that many books going on, I'm thinking you must be a plotter.
I am a big time plotter. Okay. Yeah, I have to be. When I was a teenager, I tried to write a few books and I would have this scene in my head of what I wanted in my book. And so I would start writing the book. The scene never happened. Like they would go, I had this scene of a girl standing on a cliff and a dragon flying up to her. That was the scene I wanted in a book. And in my book, they went to a forest, they went to a town, they went to a beach, but they never made it to a cliff.
Okay, so that actually brings me nicely to a question from Crystal Amy Mahana. I'm sorry if I butchered that name. I'm really bad with names. I'm terrible with names. Says, when you write a story starting with an idea you love, what do you do with the idea if it doesn't go into the story that you're doing? Do you discard it? Do you force it to fit, or do you recycle it into another story?
That's usually how my books start. Is I start with an idea of some scene that happens, or I've recently wanted to start writing this fantasy series that has nothing to do with any of my other books, but it's just on my mind. And I'm like, I've just got to write down an outline or something. But it's this girl on horseback being chased by a dragon, and she has to like try to fire at the dragon and hit the dragon. So that's just the scene. Like that is the start of the book. Right.
And there's going to be a book coming with that. So when that comes out now, you guys heard it here first.
Yes, you did.
That is the scene. So, and that fits into your starting ideas tend to be the launch part. You imagine it sounds like sometimes they are, and sometimes they go off and become their own little book.
Yes.
Which is great. Ashley Brolinsky would like to know, have you ever created a place that you would never want to go, or a character you would never want to meet?
Yeah. A lot of times my books are based on dreams. And I had this horrible dream, this nightmare one time of this awful place. It was just really dark, really disgusting. Like people just lying in the streets, wearing rags and eating like nasty, nasty stuff, but they were all on drugs. And so they couldn't, like in their head, they were like eating ice cream and riding unicorns, but anyway, that was this dream I had. And I actually wrote it down as a short story just recently because it was just like kind of on my mind a lot. And so I just wrote it down. But that is definitely a place I would never want to visit. It was really awful.
Do you think you're going to release this short story? It's like, are we going to get to read this disgusting place?
I don't know. I let my 16 or almost 16-year-old son read it, and he thought it was really cool. But
16-year-old boy, I mean.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do with it.
That's cool. I mean, you could always have it as like an extra in a newsletter or something. I'm sure your fans will love that.
Oh, that's a really good idea. Yeah. I'm going to do that, and I'll credit you for that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, credit me. I'll be all about credit. But yeah, seriously, I'm always looking for ideas for the authors can put in newsletters. And as someone who gets a lot of author newsletters, short story, bonus stories, especially if they don't fit into anything.
Right.
Do it.
Oh, love it. Oh, that's a really good idea. Okay, I want to do that.
So now Ashley wants to know the opposite. What are 3 places you'd like to visit? She's lying because she says, what are 3 places you'd like to visit? 3 real and 3 from your book. So really that's 6 places you want to visit. Ashley, okay, I'm calling you out.
That's not enough places for me. I need more than 6.
You need more than 6?
No, I'm just kidding. Let's see. I've always wanted to go to Norway and see like the old Viking ruins and things like that. In Fairy World MD, I have culture that were former Vikings that made it to this world called Faythander, and they became like their own civilization.
Yeah.
But I would love to go to Norway. I would love to go to Egypt to see the pyramids. I would love to go probably Scotland or Ireland.
Okay.
One of those.
Not England.
I've been to England and I want to go back.
Okay. I'll let you off then. I was like, so we're going to go to Scotland and Ireland and you skip my hometown? Okay, I see.
Honestly, I loved England. So yeah, I'd put that on there. But since I've already been, I was picking places than before.
And what about your 3 not real? And they don't 3, and it has to be from your books. You're not allowed to pick other people's books, apparently. There's 3 from your books.
All right. Well, first would be Faythander because that was like the whole. I created
There's a whole big world there to go visit as well. Yeah.
So I'd have to go there. I would love to go in the Witch's Tower. I created kind of this city in the desert that was kind of based on an Arabian culture. Mm-hmm. And in the book, the city has all been destroyed and everything like that. But I would love to go like during its heyday when all the buildings were and shining.
And it's your fantasy world, so you can set the rules.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. A third place. So I've got.
You can cheat and go to Egypt because that's in the new series.
Ooh, okay. I'll put that one in too.
I mean, she doesn't say they have to be fake places in your book. Her question,
you know what? It would be from my new sci-fi series, The Seventh Fly. It would be that alternate world reality that created in that one.
They came up with another one. I was like, I got you an out there. I gave you an out because it says 3 from books. Doesn't say they have to not be real places. So.
Right. It would be Champ Island where they have the big brown boulders. But
I'm gonna look those up. I'm really fascinated by that. I can tell my husband as well. He'd be pretty interested in that as well. That's
it's
like really Stonehenge. We've watched so much stuff on Stonehenge. Same kind of idea. It's just like
yeah.
So Diana says that she's not familiar with your books, but she's going to be looking you up. Diana, you better look her up. I'm going to call you out on it. I'll see you on the show someday. I will call you out. So. If you had a perfect locale where you could write, where would it be? For example, a cabin in a forest, a beach house in the city, or somewhere completely different.
All right. So I have a very specific place.
Oh, wow.
It would be a cabin on top of a mountain overlooking a forest with a lake.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh. And if there's some fog in there, that would be extra. That would be perfect. Kind of a spooky.
But you don't ever think about things coming out of the fog, because that would be where my mind would go, right? The things out of the fog.
Yeah.
Which would put me off.
Yeah.
Okay, Susan Harris would like to know, if you could pick one of your characters from one of your worlds and drop them into any other fictional world, who would you choose and where are you going to drop them? Okay,
so I've got this, the hero male lead in my Fairy World MD series is named Kull, Kull. And he was probably one of my favorite characters to write of all time.
Yeah, he's fun.
So I would probably pick him up and put him in our world. Because
in our world.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That would be interesting. If him around. That would be cool.
Well, he's this big, really brawny.
Oh wait, no, you have to drop him into another fictional world.
Okay, so it can't be our world.
So it can't be our world. So there's another fictional world.
Could it be anything, like not just my books, but any book?
No, any other fictional world.
All right, right now I'm thinking Star Wars.
Oh my God, yes. That's about the opposite end of go to the space station in that.
Yeah, I think
the bar is whatever it is. I'm not a very big Star Wars, but
I think he would probably bring his sword in and be like, I need to trade this for a lightsaber.
Yeah.
Like,
I can imagine him with a lightsaber.
Right.
I think it would rock the lightsaber. I really do. He would love it. Oh, he would cause so much damage.
Yes. It would be like a bull in a china shop.
That would be so fun, though.
Yeah.
How fun would that be? I mean, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I need to write that one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that.
Yep.
And then she wants to reverse that because Susan's like that. She said, if you have to pick a character from a fictional world you didn't create and drop them into your world, who would you pick and where would you put them?
Okay. I think I know the answer to this one because in Fairy World MD, Olive's stepfather is like this. He's a dragon, but when he comes to Earth, he takes on a human form.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of based him on Jean-Luc Picard from Star Trek. So I would probably pick him.
I do like me a bit Jean-Luc Picard, I have to say. Patrick Stewart is one of my favorites.
Yes, he's my favorite actor. Mm-hmm.
Don't you think he's got a I mean, I'll probably cut this bit out and put it at the end because it's completely unrelated. But don't you think he's got a really sexy voice? And there's something about him. I don't know what it is. His voice is just so calming, and he does.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just love him.
Yes.
Did you watch
he's really cool. Yes. Okay,
I'll go back to the question. I will edit that. That would be an outtake at the end, but I just couldn't resist.
Okay.
So, May Rose would like to know, what vices do you have, or what vices will you admit to? Acknowledging that there are two totally completely different answers that could be covered with that.
So the ones I won't admit to, you'll put on the outtakes.
Sure, yeah. If you want to spill the beans, I will definitely go with that. I'm game.
All right. Well, my kids might be watching this, so I better.
Oh yeah,
okay. So one of my vices, I would say I have a slight addiction to Diet Dr. Pepper.
Ew.
I didn't drink soda growing up. I hated it. But when I married my husband, he was a complete Dr. Pepper addict. So yeah, I blame it on him.
Okay.
Yeah.
But why diet?
Diet Dr. Pepper. I think Dr. Pepper is too sweet. And if somebody accidentally gives me a real Dr. Pepper instead of a diet.
Oh yeah, you can definitely tell the difference.
I'm like, who poured the syrup in here? Like, take this back. And I am really, really unhappy if I go to get my Diet Dr. Pepper and they give me Diet Coke.
Yeah, that's not even the same.
Very bad day. You don't want to be around me.
That's not even the same though. That's like a completely different drink. Okay, so what else do I have on there? Those are the
vices.
The vices. That's a pretty tame vice. That's a nice vice.
That's pretty tame.
Yeah, that's okay. That's nice and PG rated. We're good with that.
Okay.
So May Rose also wants to know, May Rose had loads of questions. She was really into this. She was all about the questions. I love it. When the story gets really tough, what do you do to shake it off so you can function for the rest of your day?
Oh, it's the other way around. I have to write to function for the rest of my day.
So do you have to try and get your character, like if they're in a bad place, do you have to get them out of that bad place, or at least know how you're going to get them out of that bad place before you can move on?
No, I kind of like it when they're in the bad place. I think it's fun.
You know, I often say this about authors, like when they're writing these mean scenes, it's like, are they sad or are they sitting there like grinning? You're obviously a grinner, aren't you? It's like,
yeah. Yes.
That's so mean.
Yes. I do remember writing Deathbringer, and at the end of that book, it was pretty sad. And I do remember crying at the end, writing at the end of the book and thinking, I've really got to get the next book going soon.
Yeah.
But that's the worst it ever got. Usually if my character's in a really like awful situation, I'm like happy because I think that's a really good situation to be in, because readers kind of like it when you have to get them out of those bad situations.
We like it when they get out of those bad situations. I can tell you right now, as a reader, we do not necessarily like it when they are in those bad situations. And I remember reading Deathbringer, and I remember not being very happy even a little bit, because I don't like crime books. And there was no warning. And now, see, at least Muses, you've got a warning. You're welcome. Don't read that in public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's Grey Ghost right after Deathbringer, so you can pick that right up.
Yeah, see, at least you can do that. I didn't have that option.
Yeah, that's true.
It was not available to me
Yeah.
at the time.
I know. I remember after I wrote it, I'm like, sorry.
You weren't. See, that's just it. You weren't sorry at all. It's a lie. Lies. You were sitting there going, ha, 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 ha. Got him now. It does make you want the next book, though. I'll give you that.
I actually did have a reader admit to me that they had to go into therapy. Yeah.
The real reason that Tamara is donating money to mental health services.
Yeah, good thing, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. That's a real connection. I mean, that's kudos to you as an author, really, though, because they must have formed a huge connection to those characters.
Yes. And she actually came back to me later and she thanked me for writing it because it helped her like realize that she was having some problems with things that she had kind of buried. And so she was able to go into therapy and get help for those problems. So it turned out to be a good thing.
It did. That turned out to be very awesome. Mm-hmm. But I'm still going to sulk about Deathbringer because that was really, I don't like books that make me cry. And that one did. And I was not amused. My muses know that I'm not amused. I don't like that stuff. And I don't like shows that make me cry. And Greg's made me cry on the show before because he's mean.
Oh, dear.
Yes. Well, because he does that. So Ashley would like to know, what are your writing snacks and habits? And that also fits in with one of May Rose's questions. She wants to know, what is your favorite time to write? Oh, do you need to go get that?
I think my daughter will get it. Okay. I like to write in the mornings because I'm rubbish at night and my brain doesn't work at night. So anytime I try to write at night, I just end up like deleting it all. It's not any good. But so I write in the morning. For snacks, I would like to say I only eat like apple slices and
don't lie.
But the truth is I probably eat like Reese's cups and Butterfingers.
That's pretty a long way from we're not even in the same ballpark as the apple slices here. I don't know what I was expecting, maybe trail mix or something, but they went down a whole candy aisle. I'm good with that.
Like Halloween candy, like around Halloween time, I'll usually sneak some Halloween candy in there.
So candy corn, yay or nay?
Nay for me, but my kids love it. So yeah. Let's see what else. I do have some healthy stuff. I have like pretzels with hummus. I really like raspberries if they're not too sour.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have some healthier things in there.
Yeah.
Do you need to go? You can go and do that. It's fine.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Are you sure? I'm gonna fix my wig.
Yeah.
I think I got through. Oh, Dana would like to know, if you weren't an author, what would you be doing?
Well, probably teaching English.
So same sort of ballpark, really. I mean, it's not that far.
I did get I went to college and I got my degree in English and I got a teaching certificate. So I'd probably go back and try to do that. But right now it works out better for me to be an author.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, especially with my kids at home.
Right.
Yeah, most of them have gone back to school, but I've still got a few of them doing like online learning. So it's really beneficial for me to be able to work from home. Yeah. And
you can write more books that way, which is definitely preferable. Yeah.
Right.
From a reader perspective.
Yeah.
So I think I got through pretty much all of the questions. If I did miss any, I'm sorry right now. I think I got them all.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to share? Any questions that you would have wished somebody had asked and they didn't ask? I'm going to shake my crown.
Can't really think of anything right now.
Okay.
I'll probably think of like all kinds of stuff when I'm laying awake at night and be like, oh, I should have said that.
I got help with that. At all. Yeah. But what I'm going to do is I'll do the little wrap up and then we can like chat for a little bit about other stuff so that I can ask my user questions that I want to ask that have nothing to do with books.
All right. Sounds good.
So I'm going to wrap this up. It's a huge thank you to Tamara Grantham for joining me today and chatting. You guys know what to do. Do all the fun YouTube things. Like, comment, and subscribe. Especially comment. Let us know what you thought of the chat. Make sure you grab your copies of the free books that are going to be in the description from the video. If there are any questions you wish to ask Tamara and you didn't get to ask them, you can pop them in the comments. I'm sure she'll come back. And if not, I will poke her on Facebook and say, hey, come on to these questions.
Yes, and I would love to answer all the questions.
There you go. She will answer all the questions. Make sure you join me live on Facebook every Sunday at noon Eastern time, where I chat with my husband, Greg, and all the cool people come and chat with me. And if you're not there chatting with me, then you're probably somewhere else. And of course, go to melaniemuses.com and check out everything that's going on there. We have giveaways, book reviews, author features, regular features, music features. If it's not there now, it probably will be soon. We have so much going on, melaniemuses.com. And of course, click that notification bell so you don't miss next time I am here with an all-new video. And with that, I'll say goodbye. Bye. I think my alerts are going nuts here, and I don't know why. They're supposed to be off, but my computer does like to ignore me. Yeah, shush.
Uh-oh.
No,
I didn't hear them.
They're probably muted here, but I think I have them. I don't know. My computer just does what it wants. It has a mind of its own. It's kind of insane like that. I think that's about it. I think, unless there's anything else you can think of that you want to do, if there's anything you want to ask me, that's what it's fair game. You get to ask me a question if you want to.
I don't know. I should have thought of that ahead of time.
Yeah. No, because then you think of nice questions. It's like you tend to get more honest questions if people don't have time to.
Oh yeah.
To prep them. You can ask me anything. I'm open book. And if I don't want to answer, I'll just say no.
Okay. So. Right. This is seriously something that's been bothering me for years.
Oh, cool. Okay.
All right. So when I wrote Dream Thief, I have a character in there named Melanie who has red hair. And I wrote that character way before I met you. But in the book, she like turns into a goblin as this horrible person and dies. And I've always worried, like, does Melanie think I based that character on her? Seriously one of those scenes.
I did wonder if the Melanie with the red hair was an homage to me, because I had popped up and said, like, I mean, I'm a main character in one of Susan's series. And
right.
I have and I did wonder, but I did think it was just funny when she turned into this awful evil guy. I thought that was really, really funny. So if that was based on me, I'd totally been down to that. I'm always going to be an evil, horrible character in a book. But.
No, that was something that always has bothered me, because it was like, I remember writing that character and I remember thinking, I just need a nice, pretty name for this character.
Oh, well, there you go.
I need something that's, really somebody that people would trust, and somebody that was.
Oh well, you're completely off the rails, because I don't think people trust me.
So, and she had red hair, and her name.
And I was a redhead at the time, yeah.
And then I later, after I went back and reread the book, I'm like, oh my goodness, I hope Melanie doesn't think I put her in the book and killed her.
I did wonder, but it honestly would not have bothered me at all. I'm going to be the evilest of evil people in a book. It's like, stick me in there, turn me really mean, and I don't need any reason to be mean. I'm quite happy being that horrible person. But it's funny you say about the red hair, because Susan, when she started writing Melanie in her book, she put her in, and she is basically like, her clothes are mine, the hair was mine, and then there's a whole dig to the whole. I can't do technology. I'm useless at technology. And she literally made me Penelope from Criminal Minds, like an expert computer hacker. So it's like 100% the opposite of me.
Yeah.
But then when her own book came up later on, like Melanie has a book later in the series that's focused on her, I had to buy a damn wig to play myself, because by that point my hair was blonde and it didn't match the character anymore.
That's funny.
I said, because of what happened in the book, she couldn't change the character's hair, and I'm just like, This is so I have a wig now that's called the Melanie
Yeah.
because I got it to play myself.
Oh, it's the wig for yourself.
Yeah, it's the wig for myself. My wigs have names. Most of my wigs have names, a bit like Moira's wigs in Schitt's Creek, because I have them all across the walls now. So they have names. I've started giving them names. I don't refer to them as my babies yet, but it's getting there. I have a lot.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for coming. Don't ever worry. If you ever want to write me into a book just to kill me off, I'm going for that.
No, I don't.
You know, that'll be when you send a book and I reject you. Like, right, Melanie's going in the next book, and we will kill her off.
No.
That's so funny. And you never mentioned it. I can't believe you've never just asked me.
No, it's one of those things that I'm like, when I'm not really thinking about anything, and I'm just kind of like wondering, like, I wonder if she thought that I based that character on her.
I did wonder, but I did think it was really funny, and I'm pretty tough to offend with all of that.
It wasn't based on you though, because I wrote that book like probably a year or two before I even met you. So
anyway. So nice to know you don't think of me as an evil goblin, but
that's right.
I would be okay if
I'm glad I got that off my chest.
Yeah, but you could have just messaged me and
No, but like, it's kind of an awkward random thing to just be like, so Melanie.
You obviously have not seen half of my chats where I don't really have a filter. It's one of the biggest issues I have. I don't have a filter. I don't know how to be fake. I don't know how to not say what's on my mind.
Good. That's good.
You say that, but people do not like it in real life. They really don't. My husband has to warn people when they come over. They're like, Melanie has no filter. Yeah. And he'd text me before the pandemic. We don't have very many people to the house because it's a regular thing. But when we did and people used to come over, he would text me to tell me to be nice. And there's someone coming over and he's kind of young, don't scare him. I mean, kind of young being in his 20s or whatever. But like, well, no, people don't actually, they like the idea of someone saying what they're thinking.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
There you go. And now I want to know, you talked about Captain Picard. I love Captain Picard. Huge Star Trek Next Generation. Yes. Like I have a whole case of VHS tapes with every episode ever, collected edition. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that I got free from a yard sale.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
The wife was like, take them.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Wow.
So I was like, thanks. So I have them.
That is a big find.
It was a few years back. My husband was like, oh my God. Like, yeah. So good. Like, I really don't want to pay. He had them up for like $50, which I thought was pretty reasonable for the whole collection.
Yes.
And I really couldn't justify $50 at the time. We had the 3 kids at home, and I was like, so I was talking to the wife, and I was like, you know, if they don't go and you'd be willing to accept, say, 25 for them, give me a call, I'd be interested. She's like, take them.
Wow.
And I got the whole set, which is pretty awesome.
That's really good. So I love Star Trek. We, as a family, we watched The Mandalorian. So anything Star Trek and Star Wars.
Okay. So you're right. You go right. See, I'm Star Trek, not Star Wars. Krista, who does CRAD, is very much Star Wars and very much The Mandalorian. She has a whole Baby Yoda collection. She does the videos on Baby Yoda. She has customized. I mean, you so name cute. It. There's more child merchandise and that than I've ever seen anywhere.
So cute.
And she doesn't like Star Trek at all. So it's just like we're completely
really.
Yeah, she doesn't like Star Trek. No, nothing Star Trek. Because I keep threatening to send her a Star Trek communicator for one of her little dolls.
Yeah.
For Fisher, who's my favorite. He's my favorite Baby Yoda child that she has. His name's Fisher, and I've sent him presents before. And I said I'm going to send him a Star Trek communicator, and she's like, he won't wear it. So that's
that would be so cute,
right? I was like, yeah.
I want one to put on a book signing table. That would be really, really cute.
A Star Trek communicator, or
a Baby Yoda wearing a Star Trek communicator.
There you go. Well, I can just take complete credit for that one.
Yeah.
Mash up all the fandoms. I'm a big fan of that.
I should seriously do that. That would be so
you should. You 100% should. And then send me a picture because I need to see that. But what other TV shows do you like? What other TV shows and things do you watch? Because my Muses are a big TV fan too.
Okay. So I've been watching this one, and it's called The Curse of Oak Island.
Oh yeah. History Channel.
Yeah, I've been into that one lately, just because I really like the idea of like an island with this mysterious past. And
do they ever find anything?
Well, they always seem like they're getting really close.
I know. Greg and we watch a lot of stuff on the History Channel, and that one kept popping up as a suggestion for us. And we were going to start watching it. Then we saw that there were all these seasons of like, there's all these seasons. Are they actually finding anything?
Right.
So we didn't end up watching it because I'm a bit impatient. And I'm like,
well, like the most recent episode, they dug up the swamp and they found this road going through the swamp.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and they were able to date it to like the 1600s.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, they definitely find a lot of stuff, but as far as finding treasure, they haven't really found a lot of treasure, but they have found a lot of evidence of people being on the island before anything was ever recorded. So that's what I'm more interested in.
Yeah.
I'm interested in like figuring out who was there, why were they there, what were they doing there,
and where did they go?
Where did they go? Yeah. And
that's always my thing. Like, where did they go?
Yeah. What did they leave behind? Yeah. So I do have a t-shirt that says red shirt. I might not make it.
Love it.
That I wear at the Comic-Con sometimes. My husband got that one for me.
That's really cute.
Yeah.
That's really cute. I have a Star Trek. I have the red dress, and I say it's mine. It's actually Emily's. When she went through when the new Star Trek movies came out, and Chris Pine was in them, and she was a huge Chris Pine fan. It's the only time she's ever been interested in anything Star Trek. Yeah. And she wanted the red dress for one Halloween, and now I've acquired it. So it's mine.
Okay. I love all the new Marvel movies, but my favorite is Thor Ragnarok. So that's probably one of my favorite. I'm a DC girl,
movies. So
okay. All right. Well,
it's all right. The rest of my house is completely Marvel. They are all Marvel people, and I can do the Loki stuff. I don't mind Loki. I've seen most of the Avengers movies. I did see Thor Ragnarok. That was funny. I like the funny ones. I saw the Iron Man ones. I've seen a couple of the Avengers. I wouldn't go and see the sad ones because I don't like sad things, and I had absolutely no interest in watching the demise of Iron Man. Just like, nope. Robert Downey Jr. is my guy. I'm just like, nope, I'm not even addressing.
Yeah, that will make you cry for sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Just thinking about it upsets me. I was like, no, just huge pass on that.
No.
So if you like sci-fi stuff, Doctor Who, yes or no?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yes, I love Doctor Who.
Yay! Favorite Doctor? On the spot now.
Oh, I don't know. That's a tough one.
It is. It's meant to be easy.
Well, was it David Eddings who was
David Tennant?
Yes, David Tennant.
Yeah. He was one. He was 10.
I would probably have to go with him.
Yeah. Here's my favorite. I have my Build-A-Bear, Doctor Who bear, who is normally down here, but he's upstairs sitting in my office. That one of my best friend sent him to me, and his name is Tennifer. After
oh my goodness,
his name is Tennifer, and he's modeled on the 10th Doctor. So absolutely love the 10th. My first Doctor was the 4th Doctor. He was like, Tom Baker was my Doctor forever, and then David Tennant came along and was like. And now I really love Jodie as well. But I think I love Jodie because she reminds me a lot of David.
Yes.
But I mean, fun fact, did you know that David Tennant is married to the daughter of Peter Davison, who was the 5th Doctor?
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
It gets better because his daughter, Peter Davison's daughter, played the 10th Doctor's genetically engineered daughter in the show, and that's where he met her, and now they're married.
That is funny.
Yeah, so that always amuses me. I'm very interested. When they
but I only know you online, so I don't really know, like, well, if I brought
pretty
that
much
up,
what you see online and in the chats and in the groups is what you get.
It's
it's like.
Well, I just want to say thank you because I think you're really awesome for doing this interview with me. And I really appreciate it.
No, thank you for signing up and jumping in to do it, because I was hoping to get a bunch of authors to do it. And so far I've had you and Susan and Jodie.
Right.
And that's it.
Well,
I think it's fabulous. I love it. And I love hearing all the behind the scenes stuff. That's the best part.
Yes, I know. That is fun.